Hello everyone, this is Laura from Grain & Company, and today I'm going to go through the tutorial for the egg trio found in your March subscription box. And so I'm just going to get started. So in your Creative Maker box, you will have your 3-piece egg set. For this tutorial, you'll need your gloves, a foam brush, some sort of wiping material. I use blue shop towels, and you will need your stain to begin with, and we're using whole wheat. So we're going to begin by staining all of the eggs, a base coat, and then we're going to continue on once that's dry, and I will show you how to apply a layer of paint in a dry brushing technique over the large and the small egg. All right, so I'm going to show you how to stain on one. For those of you who know how to stain already, you can go ahead and continue on. For those of you who haven't stained any wood before or seen our way of doing it, then you can just watch. And so I'll just get started. So we're using a water-based stain, so it dries fairly quickly for the projects that we do. So I take my foam brush and give it a good squish in there. And then I like to take my foam brush and turn it on its side instead of just using the end of the brush to apply it. It's faster. I can apply it where I want, and yeah, it's pretty much, I can apply it where I want. I can just wipe it on instead of just letting the brush do whatever it wants. So I'm going to do the side, and then I'm going to wipe it off before I get to the other side. Okay, so with the water-based stain, it dries a lot faster. As you start doing this and you're getting stain on your gloves, just watch that you don't leave any handprints on your stain. I'm going to flip it over, dip again, and you're going to want to stain in the direction of the grain of wood. And if you're unsure what that means, it means that the lines in the wood can either go in some sort of direction. We get them cut. For this one, the grain should be going up and down. And so if you stain against a grain, it just looks unnatural. So that's why we want to stain with the grain. And then you're going to wipe too with the grain as well. Just flip it over and double check, make sure nothing's dripped over, and then you are done with that one. So you're just going to set it off to the side and repeat with all of the rest. So I'm just going to continue doing this and speed the video up so you don't have to sit here for a couple minutes watching me do this. And then once it's done, I will come back when they are ready to go on to the painting part. All right, good luck. Okay guys, I'm back with the next part of the video. So you're going to take your eggs, now that they've been stained, and you're going to sand them. So right now they are a bit rough because the stain has raised the grain. So just like you were when you're staining, you're going to sand them in the direction of the grain as well. So with this set, I am leaving the middle one in its stain finish, so I'm going to distress the edges as well at the same time, just because that's what I like. And then be sure to do both sides. Okay, I'm just going to continue on with the other two and just speed it up so you don't have to watch the whole thing in real time. So, be right back. Okay, so that is all done. And then just take some paper towel and just wipe off all that dust. so we're done with this one, so you can put that one directly off to the side. And then we're going to work with the other two. So this one we're going to do in the yellow color called wheat, and this one is done in white. So to show you the technique a little bit easier, I'm going to use it on the big one and put the white one off to the side. Now, you don't necessarily have to do both sides, but what's nice about that is that you can practice on one side and then have the other side as your better side if you feel this technique is a little bit not difficult, but some people don't like the idea of dry brushing. But I'll go through it and show you what I do. So the idea of dry brushing is that you're doing it with a dry brush. So you will need to have some paper towel or something you can blot off most of the paint on your brush, and then your paint. So based on the size of this particular piece, I'm going to use my 2-inch brush because I want as much surface area on my brush so I can kind of feather it out. When I get to the smaller one, I will use my smaller brush. You can either use this one. I can't remember what's in your guys' kits. I can't remember if I got both of them, the 1 and 2 inch, and then you've got the 6-piece set. So I believe there's the 1 inch. So you can always use the 1 inch with the longer bristles, as well as another way to do the smaller one. Anyway, so I'm gonna pick, I wanna leave my best side to the end. So if you wanna practice on the worst side, now for most of you, it could look good on either side. Sometimes depending on the wood, you'll see like an oval patch, and that's just the way the boards are made. So you can always practice on that side. Okay, so what we're gonna do is you're going to take your brush and you're gonna dip it in paint. Now, if you take your brush and go right on your board with this amount of paint, then you're pretty much just going to be painting it because there's not a easy way to remove all this paint. What we're trying to do is lightly build up some layers so it looks kind of old and distressed and weathered and stuff without just painting it and then sanding it all back. So I'm going to take my paint and I'm going to take most of it off. So you can see how my paper towel is becoming more dry in this area because most of it is gone. So then you're going to take your brush and you're gently going to have some movement as you hit the board, and kind of move your brush back and forth. If you take your brush and just plant it on there and start to move it, then you'll get these lines on your board, and you don't want that because it's really hard to blend out. So you want to have some movement with your hand as you approach your project. So my brush may have already dried, but I'll try it anyways. And so what you're going to do is it's going to deposit really light wisps of paint. Now my brush probably had dried a little bit already just because I was talking. So I'm just going to put a little bit more paint and wipe it all off, and then gently approach the board and brush it on. Now as the paint starts to run out, I tend to press a little harder, so that way I can kind of feather out my color. And you keep doing this and building layers until you are happy with the look you want. Now if you get a little bit more paint in one area, then you can start to, you can turn your brush sideways. You can really start to pull the color. Now as you get more comfortable with this, you can always start with a bit more paint in your brush, not too much, but it's best just to start with less and build up. And most of the paint you're going to end up wiping off on your paper towel. Whoops. But that's the whole idea. You want to make sure that it's dry. just going to keep doing it and you can watch what I do. Now this one I wanted to do this on purpose so you can see now I got a little bit of a heavier line here, and that's not the end of the world. So when you're dipping your brush, make sure you don't leave any on the edges. You want to take your brush and even just wipe off the sides, but you can just work that in and feather it out. Remember, there's always two sides, so this is the side that you can practice on. See, I'm also turning my brush sideways just because I can kind of define my strokes. Turn it the other way so you're putting more pressure at the bottom than you were before. That can always make a difference. So you're going to keep doing it until you like what you see. Remember, you're doing this in the direction of the grain, so that's why we wanted these ones cut up and down. Seeing as I'm running out, I'm really pulling on that brush and taking out everything in that dry brush and trying to blend that spot in. Okay, so that's the front. Now you can either leave the side as a stain side and just paint the face. You can do the side, you can do the back side as well, or the other side. If you're doing the side, it doesn't take much. Just make sure if you're doing the side and you're handling it like I am, just make sure that that front is dry enough. With the dry brush, it pretty much dries fairly quickly. If it's not, then just give it a little longer before you do this. And you can do the underside if you want. That. So just watch when you're doing the sides if it creates a lip or you're too heavy on that and it brings some paint over the sides. You want to try and feather that out. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with that. I'm just gonna do a little bit more up here. You see, just as you add a little bit at a time, you can just build up your layers. If you find you don't want to do something like this, then you can easily just paint it a solid color. I just like to have that worn out look. For me, it's easier to just layer the paint on than it is to go back and try and sand this back. So all right, there you go. All right, so I'm just gonna leave that now because I can tend to play with this for a while. All right, and just remember that yeah, you just do it however you would like, but that's how the dry brushing technique is. See, I tend to play with it lots. There we go. I'm going to pull some more color down here. There we go. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to leave it, and I'll probably keep my brush in a bag until I'm done, because I want to put all 3 pieces together and just kind of make sure I like how all the colors work. So that is this one. I'm just going to put it off to the side, and I'm just going to put my brush in a bag. And then I'm going to do the same thing with the white one. So I will do it. I won't talk throughout it. I'll just get you guys to watch how I'm doing it, and then I will be back. Okay, so that one is done. That one didn't take quite as long because the area is smaller. So right now I'm not doing the back, and I did the sides. So, so I'm just going to bring these in for now and just get a quick look. So this is dry. That's dry and that's dry. So that's the 3 colors that I'm doing with to go with the other part of the Creative Maker box. So once I'm good and I feel like the balance of color is good, then and they're dry, then I'm going to come back and I'm going to give them a sand, because there is a little bit of texture from the paint on the board. Find the sandpaper. Oh, there it is. So now I'm just going to come in and gently glide over top of that. And I don't have to sand that hard because it doesn't take much, but if you want the edges distressed a little bit, you can kind of just pull on them. You can see how it just wearing away that edge a little bit. Just kind of gives some definition to the egg itself. And you can come in here and just sand that edge. And if you did the back, you can give that a sand too. If you got any paint on this edge, if you didn't do the back, you can gently sand it and then kind of distress it, so like you knew what you were doing. And then just give that one a wipe. And same thing, you can do it on this one. Just go very lightly if you're just wanting to smooth it out. Almost like a glide. And if you want to get a little bit rougher, just to distress those edges, then you can just pull on just those edges and wear it away a little bit. And if you got any paint on the back, then you can just give that a sand and then give that a wipe, just like that. And then you can stack them together like that. Let's bring in that other piece. See, and now when you put it on a display, you'll see just how nicely this complements this. Now, by all means, if you prefer to do a different color, you could, pull out the blue or the green if you're, you like those colors better. I like nice neutral colors, so for me this works for me, but obviously do what works for you. But yeah, that is those eggs. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and yeah, we'll hope to see all your stuff in the Creative Maker page. All right, thanks guys.